The year 1951 dawned with a world still grappling with the aftermath of World War II. Amidst Reconstruction, new conflicts and cultural shifts emerged. The Cold War intensified, casting a shadow over international relations. Groundbreaking technological advancements reshaped society. Profound global political realignments and new cultural forces emerged. 1951 was a year of paradoxes, anxiety, and optimism. The world was on the brink of a new era, marked by dangers and possibilities. Events of 1951 shaped history for generations. The Cold War was more than just a geopolitical struggle. It was a battle of ideologies, a clash of values that played out on multiple fronts, from the halls of power to the shadows of espionage. In 1951, the world was captivated by the trial and subsequent execution of Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, an American couple accused of spying for the Soviet Union. The Rosenbergs' case became a cause célèbre, polarizing public opinion and fueling the anti-communist fervor that gripped America. The trial, which unfolded against the backdrop of the Korean War and escalating tensions between the superpowers, raised profound questions about loyalty, betrayal, and the limits of dissent in a democracy. Adding fuel to the fire, two high-ranking British diplomats, Guy Burgess and Donald Maclean, defected to the Soviet Union, sending shockwaves through Western intelligence agencies. Their defection exposed vulnerabilities in the Western security apparatus and deepened suspicions about communist infiltration. The espionage scandals of 1951, from the Rosenbergs' trial to the Burgess and Maclean defections, deepened the paranoia and mistrust that permeated the Cold War era. The line between fact and fiction blurred, as accusations flew and suspicion fell on anyone deemed subversive or disloyal. The world watched with bated breath, wondering where the next betrayal would occur and how far the superpowers would go in their pursuit of ideological dominance. 1951 witnessed a dangerous escalation in the nuclear arms race, as both the United States and the Soviet Union sought to outdo each other in developing ever more destructive weapons. The stakes were incredibly high, with the fate of the world hanging in the balance. In the Nevada desert, the United States conducted a series of nuclear tests under the ominous codename Operation Desert Rock. These tests, which involved detonating atomic bombs in the atmosphere, showcased America's growing nuclear arsenal and sent a clear message of deterrence to the Soviet Union. The mushroom clouds that rose from the Nevada desert were a stark reminder of the destructive power at humanity's fingertips. The world watched in awe and apprehension, realizing that the Cold War had entered a new and terrifying phase. The nuclear tests of 1951 were not merely scientific experiments, they were symbolic displays of power, intended to intimidate rivals and reassure allies. However, they also had a profound psychological impact on the world, generating fear and uncertainty about the future. The threat of nuclear annihilation loomed large, casting a long shadow over the second half of the 20th century. Amidst the Cold War tensions and nuclear anxieties, 1951 also witnessed remarkable technological advancements that would shape the future. One such milestone was the first-ever color television broadcast, beamed from the iconic Empire State Building in New York City. This technological marvel promised to revolutionize the way people consumed information and entertainment. The world marveled at the vibrant colors and lifelike images, ushering in a new era of mass media and visual storytelling. Another groundbreaking invention that emerged in 1951 was the contraceptive pill, a development with far-reaching social and cultural implications. The pill gave women unprecedented control over their reproductive health, empowering them to make choices about their bodies and their lives. The advent of color television and the contraceptive pill in 1951 were not isolated events. They were indicative of a broader trend of scientific and technological progress that was transforming society. These advancements had the potential to improve lives, connect people, and challenge traditional norms. Section 5. Birth Control and Social Change. The invention of the contraceptive pill in 1951 was a watershed moment for women's rights and social change. It gave women the ability to control their fertility, allowing them to pursue education, careers, and personal fulfillment outside of traditional gender roles. The pill's impact on society was profound and multifaceted. It challenged long-held beliefs about women's place in society and sparked debates about sexuality, morality, and reproductive freedom. The pill became a symbol of female empowerment, but it also faced opposition from those who saw it as a threat to traditional values. Despite the controversy, the pill's availability gradually led to a shift in societal attitudes towards women and sexuality. It contributed to the sexual revolution of the 1960s and paved the way for greater gender equality in the decades to come. The pill's legacy is complex and continues to be debated today. It is both celebrated as a triumph for women's rights and criticized for its potential side effects and societal implications. However, there is no denying that the pill's arrival in 1951 was a pivotal moment in the history of women's health and social change. Section 6. Global Power Shifts. The year 1951 witnessed significant shifts in the global balance of power as the world grappled with the aftermath of World War II and the emerging Cold War rivalry. The United States, having emerged from the war as a superpower, sought to consolidate its influence and contain the spread of communism. One manifestation of this strategy was the signing of the ANZUS Treaty, a mutual defense pact between the United States, Australia, and New Zealand. This treaty, a cornerstone of American foreign policy in the Pacific, cemented alliances and aimed to deter communist expansion in the region. Another significant development was the official end of the state of war between the United States and Germany. This formal declaration 6 years after the end of World War II marked a turning point in relations between the former enemies and paved the way for West Germany's integration into the Western Bloc. These events, occurring against the backdrop of the Korean War and escalating Cold War tensions, underscored the fluidity and uncertainty of the post-war world. The old order was crumbling, and new alliances were being forged as nations navigated a complex and often dangerous geopolitical landscape. Section 7. Winds of Change in Asia. While the Cold War dominated the headlines, significant events were unfolding in Asia that would have long-lasting consequences. In the Himalayas, Chinese communist forces consolidated their control over Tibet, crushing a Tibetan uprising and forcing the Dalai Lama into exile. This annexation of Tibet, condemned by many in the international community, marked a new chapter in China's rise as a regional power. It also raised concerns about China's growing assertiveness and its willingness to use force to achieve its objectives. Meanwhile, in the island nation of Ceylon, now Sri Lanka, Swardi Bandaranaike founded the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, a political party that advocated for Sinhalese nationalism and independence from British rule. This marked a turning point in Sri Lankan politics, setting the stage for future ethnic tensions and the country's eventual independence in 1948. The events in Asia in 1951 underscored the region's growing importance on the world stage and the complex challenges it faced. The Cold War, decolonization, and the rise of new ideologies were reshaping the political landscape, creating both opportunities and potential for conflict. Section 8. The Rise of Rock and Roll. As the world grappled with geopolitical tensions and social change, a new cultural phenomenon was emerging that would capture the spirit of rebellion and youthful energy: rock and roll. With its roots in blues, rhythm and blues, and country music, rock and roll exploded onto the scene in 1951, shaking up the music industry and challenging traditional norms. Disc jockey Alan Freed is credited with popularizing the term rock and roll and introducing white audiences to the music that had been brewing in black communities for years. Artists like Chuck Berry, Little Richard, and Fats Domino captivated audiences with their energetic performances and infectious rhythms. Rock and roll became more than just a musical genre. It became a cultural force, a symbol of youthful rebellion, and a soundtrack for a generation coming of age in a rapidly changing world. Parents and authority figures viewed it with suspicion, concerned about its potential to corrupt the youth. The rise of rock and roll in 1951 marked a cultural watershed moment, signaling the growing influence of youth culture and the power of music to transcend racial and social barriers. It was a harbinger of the cultural revolutions to come in the 1960s and beyond, as music continued to challenge conventions and shape social attitudes. Section 9. A World in Transition. The year 1951 drew to a close, leaving a world on the cusp of transformation. The Cold War cast a long shadow, shaping global politics and fueling nuclear anxieties. Technological advancements like color TV and the contraceptive pill revolutionized life. Events like espionage scandals and rock and roll's rise were interconnected. They reflected a world grappling with war legacies and new cultural forces. 1951 underscored the interconnectedness of global events and ideas.